As we come out from under the bridge on the left, you'll see Wacker Drive, and notice that it is on 2 levels. That was part of the 1909 plan of Chicago, and it was to keep the commercial traffic on the lower level and all the fancy horses and carriages up on the upper level. And it pretty much functions that way today. So now you'll get a nice look at this Beaux-Arts style building. This is formerly the London Guarantee Insurance Building. In fact, those winged lions that you see on either side are their logo. If you look at the main entrance, classic columns and that classic archway. This is a neoclassical building. Also the row of columns at the top, a colonnade. And there is a belvedere at the top. It's covered up right now due to the renovation. Now this little skinny white skyscraper is the former Mathur Tower, designed by Hugh Riddle, and it's from 1928. This is another one of those combination buildings where the lower level is really more Art Deco, but the top is definitely still a Gothic rocket. And this large temple on the top of our next building, which is the Jewelers Building. The temple, small temples also all around the corners held the water towers. This is from 1926 by Jaeger and Dinkelberg, and it had kind of an interesting feature. On the lower level, they had elevators that you could drive your car into. So all the jewelry salespersons could drive their car in, go up to their floor where their office was, and unload their expensive jewelry samples right in their office, as opposed to having to do that on the street. Plaid building, as I call it, on the left, is also postmodern. And another tenet of postmodernism is exaggeration. This is built as a huge classic column with a traditional base, a long shaft or midsection, and then notice the triangular pediment at the top. This is 77 West Wacker, and it's in our theater district. It has beautiful lighting in the evening, so if you happen to be in this part of Chicago in the evening, you'll definitely want to get a glimpse of this building. Now we're leaving the postmodern period and stepping back once again to that Art Deco era of the 1920s and early 30s. And this building with the flag over the door looks like an armchair, a big armchair. This is by Halliburton and Root once again. It is the West Wacker building from 1930. There's a reason why they have those setbacks, or why they shortened part of the building. As structures got taller and taller, people started worrying about how dark the streets were going to be. They didn't want them to be dark canyons. And so the zoning law of 1923 insisted that architects start stepping back or setting back part of their building, shortening areas once they reached a certain height. Actually, it worked out pretty well because at that time there was no air conditioning and electricity wasn't as strong as it is today. And so to be able to get more light and air into the buildings by adding more windows really turned out to be a good idea. Now we're heading under the Wells Street Bridge, which was just rebuilt last year, so it's going to look brand new. But our bridges are all historical. We are a city of bridges. And whenever they're rebuilt, they're always rebuilt in exactly the same style. Four of them. These are from 1988. Harry Weiss was an avid sailor, and you'll notice the nautical theme in the exterior. Triangular shaped in the roof, just like the sails, porthole windows, and also spiraling staircases. Now, everyone thought Harry Weiss was kind of crazy for designing anything along the river. The river was polluted, it was all commercial at that time. They didn't think anybody would ever want to live on the river. But Harry Weiss knew that plans were coming and that people would take a different attitude toward the Chicago River. Now in 1979, this long building on your right was completed, designed by Ezra Gordon. This is the East Bank Club. It's a high-end sports and exercise facility, but when it was completed at first, it had no windows on this side because there was nothing nice to look at out here. More earth then was moved to build the Panama Canal. This was a huge undertaking. Well, while this was going on, people to the south of us started hearing rumblings, hearing rumors that Chicago was planning on reversing their river and sending all their dirty water down to them, and understandably, they were not very happy, and they filed lawsuits. But before the lawsuits could be heard in court, Chicago finished up the tunnel, or the canal, kicked open the gates, and the water from the river, due to the pull of gravity, pulled down into that deeper canal and reversed the flow of both the main and the south branch of the river. And so now instead of flowing into Lake Michigan, it flowed out and downstream. Well, you can imagine that didn't make our neighbors to the south very happy, and they filed lawsuits again. But luckily, by the time the water got down to them, it had cleaned itself out pretty well, and it wasn't as big a problem, as they thought. But it was a huge business. And think about how they're all looking at the river now when everybody else wanted to not look at it at all. This warehouse we're coming up to on the left is a beautiful example of an early Chicago school-style warehouse. This is the Great Lakes Building by early Chicago architects. And it's from 1910. We say that it expresses its frame because anytime, anywhere you see red brick, if you peel